I never planned to become anyone's hero. Honestly, I was just trying to survive my own life. But sometimes life corners you, puts you in a moment where you either disappear again or finally take up space. And yeah, that day I chose not to disappear. Growing up, people noticed my body before they ever noticed my name. I was tall, early broad-shouldered, strong in a way that made adults uncomfortable and kids cruel. By the time I was 10, strangers stared. By 13, the comments stopped being whispers. She's built like a guy. She's scary. She should tone it down. I learned fast that smiling too much made people nervous and staying quiet made me invisible. So I did both, all the time. You know what I mean? School wasn't about learning for me. It was about surviving hallways, pretending not to hear laughter when I passed, pretending it didn't hurt when teachers told me I should act more ladylike. I tried once, just once, to fit in. Joined a group of girls at lunch, made a joke, laughed a little too loud. One of them looked at my arms and said, "Careful, she might snap the table in half." Everyone laughed. I didn't. I never tried again. At home, things were different. My uncle raised me near the coast after my parents passed. He worked the docks, hauling nets, fixing boats, waking up before the sun like it owed him money. He never commented on my body. He just handed me work. Strength's not a problem, he'd say, tossing me a rope. Not knowing what to do with it is. The ocean became my quiet place. The only place where no one cared how I looked. Waves don't judge. They either hold you up or they don't. By my mid-20s, I was living out of my truck doing odd jobs near the marina, sleeping wherever I could park without getting chased off. People called me homeless like it was my name. They didn't ask why. They didn't ask who I used to be. They just saw muscles, worn clothes, and a woman who didn't fit into their idea of soft. And I was tired. Tired of shrinking, tired of apologizing for existing. The day everything changed started like any other. Gray sky, restless water, that kind of wind that makes the sea feel angry. I was sitting on the rocks fixing a torn net when I heard shouting. Not dock worker shouting, panic shouting. I looked out and saw a luxury speedboat drifting too close to open water, people scrambling, yelling. Then I saw a man fall, no get thrown, overboard. Hard, hands tied, legs kicking uselessly. And then the water shifted. If you've lived near the ocean long enough, you know that feeling, that wrongness. A fin broke the surface. Slow, calm, too calm. People on the boat froze. Someone screamed shark like the word itself could save him. I didn't think. I never do in moments like that. I kicked off my boots and dove. Cold punched the air out of my lungs, muscles screaming as I swam harder than I ever had. The man's eyes met mine underwater, wide with terror. I cut the rope with a rusted knife I carried for nets, not heroics. The shark circled closer. I slammed the water, screamed, did anything to look bigger, louder, dangerous. Somehow, it veered off. I dragged the man back to shore, collapsing in the sand chest, burning arms, shaking. He was alive. Coughing. Crying. Breathing. I didn't wait for thanks. I never do. I stood up, grabbed my boots, and turned to leave. That woman, someone said behind me, voice shaking. She saved him. I didn't look back. Later, I learned his name was Ethan Cole. I didn't know it then. I didn't know he owned half the companies whose logos I saw on billboards I slept under. I didn't know the people who threw him overboard were trying to kill him. I just knew I'd done what felt right. 2 days later, a black SUV rolled up near the docks. I thought I was in trouble. Instead, a man in an expensive suit stepped out, eyes scanning until they landed on me. "You," he said softly. "I've been looking for you." I laughed. "Buddy, everyone avoids me. You sure?" He smiled, tired, grateful. "You saved my life." I shrugged. "You fell in the water." "No," he said, voice tightening. "I was betrayed. He offered me a meal. I almost refused. Pride's a funny thing when you're hungry." Over coffee that cost more than my weekly food budget, he told me everything. How his business partner and his own cousin tried to have him killed to take control of his company. How no one believed him yet. How the police were investigating but needed proof. Then he looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "They underestimated you. So did everyone else." He offered me a place to stay. a job, security work at one of his warehouses. I said no at first. I didn't belong in his world. He didn't argue, just said, "You belong wherever you decide to stand." I took the job. That's when the real battle started. The warehouse staff stared at me like I was a threat, especially the operations manager, a woman named Claire. Sharp heels, sharper tongue. First day, she looked me up and down and said, "You here to scare people or actually work?" I smiled. "I do both." Ethan's cousin Marcus showed up often. Smiling, polite, fake. He'd clap me on the shoulder too hard, joke about my arms. Careful, he'd laugh. She could break me in half. People laughed nervously. I didn't. One night I overheard them arguing. Claire and Marcus, whispering about finishing the job, about how Ethan shouldn't have survived. My stomach dropped. I recorded everything on my phone, hands shaking. They caught me. Marcus slammed me against a wall, face twisted. "You think anyone will believe you?" Claire sneered. "Look at you." They tied me up, threw me into the back of a truck, drove me out past the city into scrubland that smelled like dirt and bad decisions. For the first time in my life, I was truly afraid. Not of words, not of stares, of dying quietly forgotten. But they made one mistake. They underestimated me. Again, I broke free, ran barefoot through thorns, screaming until my lungs burned. Sirens came. Police. Ethan. His face when he saw me still haunts me. Rage. Fear. Relief. The recording did the rest. Trials came fast. Headlines exploded. Warehouse worker exposes murder plot. People suddenly called me brave, inspiring a symbol. Funny how fast opinions change when the story flips. Marcus and Claire went to prison. Ethan took back control, offered me anything I wanted. I didn't want money. I wanted peace. I stayed. Not because I owed him, because I chose to. People still stare sometimes. I still hear whispers, but now, when they look at me, I don't shrink. I stand taller, because I know something they don't. Strength isn't the opposite of kindness, it's what protects it. So here's my question to you. Was I right to get involved, or should I have walked away and protected myself first? When you see injustice, do you step in or do you stay safe and silent? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear them.